Well, joining me now is Harjap Singh Bhangal. He's a UK immigration lawyer. He's been dubbed the immigration guru. Good morning to you.
Good morning, David.
Really good to talk to you. I mean, clearly this is a total mess. We hear nothing but rhetoric from Rishi Sunak. We've been talking this morning about whether Sunak really wants to deal with this problem. We believe Suella Braverman is probably more bullish about this. But the fact is, nothing is happening and people in the country are increasingly frustrated.
Yeah, I seem to agree. This might be new to your viewers, but it isn't new for people who practice this area of law. For the last 20 years, the system is broken and there's been no effort to fix it. Instead, there's been undercut, underfunding, no training, wrong decisions. We've heard of scandal after scandal, and the Home Office is not fit for purpose. In fact, we used to think, or a lot of people and a lot of viewers may have thought, that Labour was weak on immigration. The fact is that Labour was sending back 33,000 people a year under their government, and this has dwindled down to hundreds. So it's not it's a mixture of delays. Why does it take 2 years to make a decision on an asylum case, which a competent person can do in half a day, or somebody like ourselves can be trained to do in half a day? Why are these people not allowed to work and being housed in hotels? Let them work, let them pay their way, let them pay their tax. If they're coming here to work, and that seems to be the rhetoric from everybody saying they're economic migrants, and they can find a job, let them work until we make a decision on their case. Let them pay tax, let them pay for their own rent. Why should the British taxpayer pay? This is how it used to be in the 2000s.
Well, I mean, look,
there were no need for hotels.
Well, I mean, it seems eminently sensible. Why is no one in government agreeing with you?
Perhaps they think, oh, this might encourage more people to come over, but that's
what, even more?
Well, that's exactly, and they're saying, well, no, this is not going to stop the Channel crossings. My answer to that was, well, you're doing a grand job so far anyway. So it's not really made any difference. This whole environment, hostile environment of not letting asylum seekers work, and making them go underground, pushing them towards crime. If you're not allowed to work, David, for 2 years, and you know, you're given £40 a week, of course you're going to look for alternative ways to make money and feed your family. And this is why the government needs to have people sensible around them, giving them these options. But they don't seem to be bothered. There seems to be a lack of political will in relation to this. This hotel crisis can be solved tomorrow by saying, all of you asylum seekers that are already here, who haven't had a decision on their case, go out and get a job, pay your own way, house your families, and keep in touch with, or we'll track you for some way like they used to before. And that's until the decision is made, and speed up the decision-making process. Let's have a fast-track system, David. When I started immigration law in the year 2000, there was a fast-track scheme in Harmondsworth, right near Heathrow. You would come in as an asylum seeker, you'd be detained. If you came in on Saturday, let's say somebody came in on Saturday, on Monday would be your interview, on Wednesday would be your substantive interview, Friday you'd get a decision, and they had a court in the detention centre. So if you appealed, the next Monday, your appeal hearing would be there. Once you're finished, you'll be removed in about 15 days. That was scrapped by the Conservative government in all of their wisdom. So it seems to me that this is a hot potato. No one wants to handle it. No one wants to listen to the sensible solutions. And this is what's happening.
That seems eminently sensible. Fast-track processing, keep them on the ground, keep them, so if they come by air, as you say, at Heathrow Airport, or indeed keep them at places like Manston or wherever you're going to do it. But actually what you need is rapid processing, and also, if we are going to allow a right of appeal, to have the court there. I mean, all I do is keep reading about how we're going to deal with this problem with Albania. I keep talking about the fact that over 12,000 last year were Albanian. Of course, they should be sent straight back. We've heard from Rishi Sunak that Albania is going to be put on a par with safe EU countries. We've talked about a small boats command being established. We've talked about a cooperation with the French. None of it's working.
Yeah, none of it's working because there's no coherent sort of system or no sort of plan that's going to work. We've had so many Home Secretaries. I mean, it's crazy. So there's no consistency. The politicians just seem to be keen on getting to the top spot and not as opposed to dealing with the job. And that's why it was surprising when people like Ben Wallace actually turned down the chance to become Prime Minister and said, well, actually, no, I'm going to stick to my job and stick to what I'm good at, the area that I specialise in. Suella Braverman is supposed to be a lawyer, a barrister, an Attorney General. She should have a grip on this. Now, if she hasn't, then if you can't stop these crossings, then how is that person competent to ever lead a country? I would say that the people need to be very careful in the next election, and they need to have a look at who's fit to govern and who's not, because the policies that we've been promised for the past 10 years are not working. We've been sold a dream. Every day we're sold a dream. We're going to get a control on this. We're going to get a grip on this. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And the reality is, even this weekend, there were migrant crossings.
Let me ask you this. I was reading a story in the Daily Mail about foreign terrorists which are being held here in Britain, and we are not able to deport them from this country. This is murderers, bomb plotters, suicide bombers, 53 foreign terrorists whose deportation is being blocked by European human rights laws. And there's a whole list of these, including people who've murdered women, wounded 9 other victims. We've also got people who've been involved in heinous crimes that really need to be removed from this country. Now, is the issue the European Court of Human Rights?
Right, let me put it this way. How long has the European Court of Human Rights been around?
1951.
Right, okay. So how is it that we were sending these people back before? And how long have immigration lawyers been around? Been around for hundreds of years. I would say lawyers have anyway. Right, so how come, despite these 2 people in the 1970s and in the 1980s and the 1990s, we were still sending people back, and that they weren't restricting them then, and yet now, all of a sudden, the ECHR or the European Court has become a problem? The problem is the fact that we don't have return agreements with a lot of countries. We only have return agreements with about, say, 10, 12 countries. We should be sending these people back a lot more quickly, and that involves political negotiation and our relationships with other countries.
But my understanding was also it wasn't the ECHR which is the problem. It was the enshrining of that in the Human Rights Act, and that is what people are hiding behind. They want a right to family life. Well, I'm sorry, if you come and blow people up in this country, you have no right to a family life. You're out.
Yeah, well, I agree. And the fact is, a right to a family life does not override all of them things. There are thousands of cases a year that get refused under right to family right and a family life. So why can't we refuse this? It's something we have to look at, that we have to send these people back as soon as we detect these people. And what happens is we make them serve their sentences here, and in that time, and whilst they're waiting here for their cases to be decided. Remember, some of these people have been waiting 5 years, 6 years for a decision on their case. And in that time, of course, they're going to make a family here. They're going to find partners, and they're going to have kids, and they're going to develop some sort of roots here. They might even have a job. If we had decided cases quicker and, say, got rid of someone or deported someone in 15 days after their claim had been refused and properly and fairly assessed. Remember, no one's saying don't assess them. Assess them. Let's just do it a lot quicker, like a lot of other countries do. We used to do all of this, David. We used to do all of this. If I'm telling your viewers now, we used to have a fast-track system. We used to send people back in 16 days. We used to have returned agreements. We used to send 33,000 people back a year. What has changed in the last 10 to 12 odd years that we don't do that anymore? And that's a question the government fails to answer.
It's a really good point. I still think my understanding is something to do with the Human Rights Act. Would you welcome tearing up the ECHR and replacing it with the British Bill of Rights?
As long as all the rights that were given under it were protected and, given fairness, like all the employment rights, maternity leave, sickness leave,
sure.
All of that is given. As long as all of that, there's a guarantee that that is protected, then I don't see why replacing one bit of legislation with another would actually make that much of a difference. But the fact is it won't allow us to send 33,000 people back, because there's that many cases aren't being won on human rights. So in human rights, the cases won are in their hundreds, if not at maximum 1,000 to between 1,000 to 2,000. It's not going to account for the rest of the 45,000 that are coming over and aren't being sent back. We need return agreements, and we need a fast-track system.
And very quickly, if I may just ask you, what about, we know where these boats are coming from. They're coming from France. We know they're leaving. We know they're leaving before they even leave. So why are we not actually intercepting them, turning them back, sending them back to France? Don't we need a zero-tolerance plan?
We have needed a zero-tolerance plan for a long time, but the fact is we are not getting to the root of the problem. The root of the problem isn't the asylum seeker. You can't lock up all of the drug users and expect drug dealing to stop.
Indeed.
It's the gangs. It's the gangs. And what has Rishi Sunak and Suella Braverman done to put the gangs in? What did Priti Patel do? What did Theresa May do to put the gangs inside? How many gangs have we actually caught of these people who traffic people from the same location for the past 20 years, and they end up at the same place on the Kent coast. They all come from Calais, and they all end up on... So it's like a offending bus driver driving the same route, the same bus for 20 years, and we're saying we can't catch him. And we're chasing him round and running around like Benny Hill. And, you know, we're going after these people and pretending we don't know where they are. They're 18 steps ahead of us. We have MI5. We have the armed services. We have the SAS. Can't we send these people out to go and get these gangs and eliminate them? Surely that would solve all the problems, yet it doesn't seem to be there. The political will isn't there.
And can I just finally ask you, that political will, we've talked about the government, I don't see that political will from the main opposition either. Does Labour have the political will to send these boats back, to get rid of people from this country who should not be here?
Well, as much as we like to criticise Labour, and believe me, I do, because I'm no fan of them either, but the fact of, especially the current policies, the fact is the record says that under Labour, more people were being sent back a year than they are now. 33,000 compared to possibly 1,000. That's big figures. And Labour have proved that they can do it. So do we give it to someone who's got a proven track record, or someone who promises us something every year and yet fails to deliver?
Harjap, very good to talk to you. That's Harjap Singh Bhangal, UK immigration lawyer there.